The forest was John's second home. He knew every tree, every bend in the stream. He respected the animals and their ways. John hunted to feed his family. He only took what he needed. He never killed for sport. John would rise before dawn. He would pack his bag with care. His rifle was his tool, not a weapon of cruelty. Today he was hunting deer. The winter was coming and his family needed meat. The air was crisp and cold. The ground crunched under John's boots. His breath rose in clouds of white. He felt alive in the stillness of the woods. He was a part of this world. John moved quietly through the trees. He scanned the forest floor for tracks. He listened for the snap of a twig. He was a skilled hunter, patient and observant, but today something was different. John spotted a dark shape ahead. The snow crunched under his boots as he moved closer, his breath visible in the cold air. The forest was eerily silent, the usual sounds of wildlife absent, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. It lay still by a fallen log, partially covered by the fresh snowfall. The shape was dark and unmoving, blending almost seamlessly with the shadows cast by the trees. He approached cautiously, his hand on his rifle. Each step was deliberate, his senses heightened, ready for any sudden movement. The forest seemed to close in around him, the trees standing like silent sentinels. As he got closer, he saw it was a wolf. Its fur was a stark contrast against the white snow, and it lay so still that for a moment, John thought it might be dead. A magnificent animal, but clearly injured. Its body was a testament to its strength and resilience, yet now it was vulnerable and in pain. The wolf was thin and weak, its ribs visible through its matted fur. It had clearly been struggling for some time, fighting against the harsh winter and perhaps other predators. Its fur was matted with blood, the crimson stain stark against the white and gray of its coat. The sight was both heartbreaking and alarming. A deep gash ran down its leg, the wound looking fresh and painful. John could see the raw edges of the cut, and he winced at the thought of the pain the animal must be in. It looked at John with fear in its eyes. The once fierce predator was now a frightened creature, its eyes wide and filled with a mix of pain and terror. John felt a pang of pity. He had always respected wolves for their strength and cunning, but seeing one in such a state stirred something deep within him. He had never seen a wolf in such a state. He lowered his rifle, the weight of the weapon suddenly feeling heavy in his hands. The decision to not shoot was instinctive, driven by a sense of compassion. He knew he should put the animal out of its misery. But something stopped him. The thought of ending its life felt wrong, as if he was betraying the very essence of the wild. He saw pain in the wolf's eyes, but also a flicker of hope. He couldn't shoot. That small glimmer of hope was enough to make him reconsider his actions. John reached into his bag, his mind racing with thoughts of how he could help the injured animal. He knew he had to act quickly if the wolf was to have any chance of survival. He pulled out his water flask and a piece of dried meat. These were his own provisions, but he knew the wolf needed them more than he did at that moment. He approached the wolf slowly, speaking in a soft voice. He hoped his calm demeanor would reassure the animal, showing it that he meant no harm. The wolf watched him with suspicion. Its eyes never left him, wary of his every move. John knew it would take time to earn the animal's trust, but he was determined to try. John set the water and meat down a safe distance away. He backed away slowly, giving the wolf space. He watched as the wolf cautiously lapped up the water. It ate the meat slowly, regaining some strength. Over the next few days, John returned to the spot. He brought more food and water. He tended to the wolf's wounds. To his surprise, the wolf didn't snarl or snap. It seemed to understand John's intentions. John named the wolf Silver, for the silver tip of its tail. He built a small shelter nearby to protect Silver from the elements. He brought fresh bandages for the wolf's wounds. He felt a bond forming. John knew he couldn't keep Silver forever. Wild animals belonged in the wild, but he couldn't leave the wolf to die either. He would nurse Silver back to health. Then he would let it go. Weeks turned into months. Under John's care, Silver grew stronger. The wounds healed. Silver's coat regained its shine. It would follow John through the woods, staying close. One day John knew it was time. He led Silver deep into the forest. He found a secluded clearing, far from any traps or hunters. This was Silver's home now. John knelt and looked into Silver's eyes. He felt a pang of sadness, but also a sense of pride. He had saved this creature's life. He scratched Silver behind the ears one last time. "Go on, Silver," John whispered. "Go back to where you belong." Silver nuzzled John's hand one last time. Then, with a flick of its tail, it disappeared into the trees. John stood there for a long moment, feeling the emptiness in the clearing. Section 5. The Call of the Wild. A year passed since John first encountered the wild wolf Silver. The seasons had changed, and the forest had transformed with each passing month. John continued his routine, hunting and providing for his family. Each day, he ventured deeper into the woods, becoming more attuned to the rhythms of nature. He often thought about Silver, the majestic wolf that had crossed his path. The memory of their encounter lingered in his mind, a constant reminder of the untamed wilderness. He wondered if the wolf was okay, if it had found a pack, or if it roamed the forest alone. The bond he felt with Silver was inexplicable, yet undeniable. He hoped he would see Silver again, to witness the wild spirit that had captivated him. The forest held many secrets, and John felt that Silver was one of them. One evening, John was returning home from a day of hunting. The air was crisp, and the sky was painted with hues of orange and pink. The sun was setting, casting long shadows through the trees. The forest seemed to come alive in the twilight, with every rustle and chirp amplified in the stillness. The forest was alive with sounds. Birds called to each other and small creatures scurried through the underbrush. It was a symphony of life, a testament to the thriving ecosystem. But one sound made John stop in his tracks. It was different from the usual forest noises, something more primal and intense. It was a low growl, deep and guttural, the kind of sound that sends a chill down your spine and makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It sent a shiver down John's spine. He knew that growl. It was unmistakable. It was the sound of a predator, a warning. He had heard that sound before. It was the same growl he had heard when he first met Silver, but this time it felt different, more menacing. It was the sound of a wolf, but not just any wolf. This growl had a familiarity to it, a connection that John couldn't ignore. But this wasn't just one wolf. The growls multiplied, echoing through the trees. John realized he was not alone. It was a whole pack. The realization hit him hard. He was surrounded by wolves, their eyes glowing in the dim light. John felt a surge of fear. He was surrounded. The wolves moved with a silent grace, their presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. He could hear the wolves moving around him, their heavy paws padding silently on the forest floor. They were closing in, their formation tightening. He gripped his rifle tightly, his heart pounding in his chest. Every instinct told him to run, but he knew that running would only provoke the pack. He had to stay calm, to think clearly. The growls grew louder, closer. John felt a cold sweat break out on his skin. He raised his rifle, trying to see through the gathering darkness. He knew a rifle was useless against a pack of wolves. Suddenly, a pair of eyes flashed in the darkness. Then another and another. John was surrounded by glowing eyes like embers in the night. He felt a surge of adrenaline. He had heard stories of wolves attacking humans. He knew how dangerous they could be. He closed his eyes, bracing himself for the attack, but it never came. The growls continued, but the wolves didn't move. John opened his eyes slowly. He scanned the darkness, trying to see what the wolves were doing. Then he saw it. A larger shadow emerged from the trees. It was a wolf, bigger than the others. The large wolf approached John slowly. It stopped a few feet away, its eyes fixed on John. John recognized that silver tip on its tail. It was Silver, the wolf he had saved. Silver let out a soft whine. It dipped its head in a gesture of respect. John lowered his rifle, his fear replaced by astonishment. Silver had remembered him. It had brought its pack to greet him. The other wolves watched John curiously. They circled him slowly, sniffing the air. John stood still, letting them get his scent. He felt a strange sense of peace. He was surrounded by predators, yet he felt no fear. Silver nudged John's hand with its nose. It whined again, softer this time. Then it turned and walked back into the trees. The other wolves followed, melting into the darkness as quickly as they had appeared. John stood there for a long moment, listening to the sounds of the forest. The rustling leaves, the distant call of a bird, and the gentle whisper of the wind through the trees all seemed to speak to him in a language he was only beginning to understand. He couldn't believe what had just happened. The events of the past hour played over and over in his mind, each detail more astonishing than the last. The wolves hadn't attacked him, they had protected him. It was as if they recognized him, remembered the kindness he had shown to one of their own. Silver had returned his kindness. The wolf he had once saved from a trap had now saved him in return. It was a moment of profound connection, a silent understanding that transcended words. He realized then that the bond between humans and animals ran deeper than he had ever imagined. It was a bond forged in trust and mutual respect, a bond that could not be broken by fear or misunderstanding. He had shown compassion to a creature in need. In that moment, he had acted on instinct, driven by a sense of empathy and a desire to help, and that creature had repaid his kindness in a way he could never have expected. The loyalty and gratitude of the wolf were beyond anything he had ever experienced. John slung his rifle over his shoulder and continued his journey home. The weight of the rifle seemed lighter now, as if the burden of his fears had been lifted. He walked with a new spring in his step, his heart filled with gratitude. Each step felt like a celebration of life, a testament to the unexpected friendships that could be found in the most unlikely places. He knew that he would never forget this night. The memories of the wolves, the forest, and the bond he had formed would stay with him forever. He had faced his fear and emerged stronger. The experience had changed him, made him more aware of the interconnectedness of all living things. He had witnessed the power of compassion and the unwavering loyalty of a wolf he had once saved. It was a lesson in the importance of kindness, a reminder that every act of goodwill could ripple out in ways he could never predict. He had been given a gift, a glimpse into the hidden world of the forest and the creatures that lived there. It was a world of mystery and wonder. A world where the lines between man and nature blurred, and where the true meaning of friendship could be found in the eyes of a wolf. From that day forward, John's relationship with the forest changed. He still hunted, but he did so with even greater respect for the animals he shared the woods with. He saw them not just as prey, but as fellow creatures deserving of his compassion. He would often leave out food for the wolves, a small token of his gratitude. And sometimes, when the moon was full and the forest was bathed in an ethereal glow, he would catch a glimpse of a silver-tipped tail disappearing into the trees, a silent reminder of the bond he shared with the creatures of the wild. The experience stayed with him, a reminder of the power of nature and the importance of respecting all creatures.